Tommy Fury! I want a piece of that!
After defeating Jake Paul, it seems that Tommy Fury has decided to take on every big name in influencer boxing. And now he wants KSI. Can JJ win against him? Let's find out. Tommy Fury. For now, let's focus on Tommy, since he is the one challenging KSI, not the other way around, as we all know how devastating Tommy's jab can be, particularly for a novice influencer boxer. Even Jake Paul, who is on par with KSI and considered one of the best YouTube boxers, was unable to handle Tommy's jab, and the reason for this is simple: footwork. Jake Paul constantly shifts his weight onto his front foot, whereas boxing coaches typically instruct fighters to keep 60% of their weight on the back foot and 40% on the front foot. This technique is intended to assist the fighter in quickly exiting the range, which is precisely what Fury employs. While it can be advantageous to shift the weight to the front foot during heavy exchanges to deliver more forceful punches, Jake consistently becomes trapped due to this habit. To remedy this issue, when dealing with jabs, he usually ducks to the right, under the jab, in order to counter with the left hook. Fury quickly figured this out, and the next jab turned out to be a fake. Jake, as usual, dives and runs into a hook. At other times, he fakes a hook so that Jake cannot make this dive, and punishes him with a straight punch. The entire fight consisted of this game with Fury's jab, which, while not causing much damage, helped him win rounds. That's why Tommy looked like a real boxer, and Jake didn't. Jake only utilized basic feints, while Tommy developed up to 5 variations of feints and attack combinations from the jab. This was the reason for Jake's defeat, as Tommy made him worry about the jab and all the subsequent moves. Nevertheless, Jake did something interesting as well. Sometimes, he dove to the left with an overhand, and it's worth noting that he almost always landed it, since a significant number of jabs naturally open up the jaw. This is a positive sign for KSI, because he also throws his overhand in the same manner. In many of his fights, Fury consistently misses this punch, but he frequently resorts to a clinch after the jab by grabbing the opponent's neck rather than delivering a hook. Against a barrage of swinging overhands from KSI, he will use this tactic often. Tommy's technique with jabs, feints, and footwork will undoubtedly assist him in this fight. Additionally, I believe that Tommy did not show everything he was capable of in his bout with Jake, since he had never faced such immense pressure before. At only 23 years old, it was the biggest fight of his life, and his father and brother were threatening to disown him if he lost. Everyone predicted his defeat, so it's no surprise that he cried at the fight's conclusion. So in his match against KSI, we will undoubtedly witness a more focused version of Tommy Fury. KSI. No one in influencer boxing has undergone such a radical transformation as KSI. His first fight resembled a brawl that broke out in a local pub after a few rounds of drinks, and he was called a windmill. But then KSI eventually changed and got into excellent shape. He stopped running with his mouth open and extending his arms, and finally started boxing instead of brawling. KSI's strongest asset has always been the overhand, but he has improved his technique significantly. Before throwing an overhand, he steps into close range, ideally stepping close to his opponent's foot, and then delivering an overhand with a slip to the left, similar to how Jake Paul got Tommy Fury. In addition to this, KSI has developed feints and tricks. For example, in his fight with Pineda, he used his jab to disorient his opponent and hit him in the body or head, disrupting the initial pattern. You can see that he is not just attacking blindly, but preparing his strikes to surprise his opponent. That's why he used his new karate stance with lowered hands in the fight with Temper. The stance is one of the reasons why Temper missed that punch. He just didn't see it coming. Yes, it is dangerous to do this with Tommy Fury, but even Jake Paul managed to hit him when he dropped his hands because it is a risky but very effective technique. Usually, fighters use it episodically during the fight, but some fighters operate entirely in this style. The thing is, when hands are not in the classic defensive position, the opponent does not see the beginning of the punch. This is how Roy Jones defeated many opponents, because his hands were not visible, so it was not clear where the punch would come from. And even in such an open stance, it was difficult to hit Jones and punish him for it. The problem with KSI is that he's not Roy Jones Jr. It worked against temper, but Tommy Fury would have easily countered KSI with jabs. KSI needs to add more techniques to his arsenal, as he is a very linear fighter who hardly ever counterattacks. Although he prepares well for his overhand rights and has good power, relying solely on strength won't get him far. When we talk about a fight against a boxer like Tommy Fury, JJ's power doesn't matter anymore. Jake hit Tommy with multiple punches that were likely harder than anything JJ's ever thrown before. JJ isn't knocking either one of them out, and to win, he's gonna need to outbox them. Prediction. Realistically, KSI has little chance of winning against Tommy Fury. His only real option is to land a powerful overhand right, as Tommy can be vulnerable while throwing jabs. However, in 9 out of 10 fights like this, Tommy would beat KSI with his straight punches and win easily by decision. KSI needs more experience and time to defeat a fighter of Tommy Fury's caliber. As for his potential fight with Jake Paul, it's not as straightforward. So let me know in the comments if you want a breakdown of that matchup.